The big story also from Southeast Asia, which is the expected summit on the Korean Peninsula between the US President and Kim Jong-un, the North Korean chairman. That is scheduled for the 12th of June. A group of US officials is already in Pyongyang in North Korea to prepare for that summit. They're led by a former US ambassador to South Korea who also negotiated on nuclear weapons with the North.
I have to say, since 2001.
Joining us now from Washington is Oliver Whitfield Miocic from Seoul. In fact, I beg your pardon. Well, meetings like this between US officials and North Korean officials for a summit of this magnitude would usually have been held months ahead. This is just 2 weeks ahead, and that's because of all the brinkmanship that went in on whether the summit would actually happen or not.
Yes, well, it's partly to do with the brinkmanship, but it's also partly to do with Donald Trump's urgency in which he wants to see this meeting go ahead. You've got to remember it was only a month and a half ago that he called for the meeting, so indeed this had already been a rushed diplomatic effort from the get-go. But, of course, the falling out between the two nations, the trading of barbs, where they called each other names, and also North Korea threatening to use its nuclear weapons, Washington, D.C. doing exactly the same, that has not helped with the timeline for these diplomatic efforts.
Right. Well, what can we expect in the run-up in the next 2 weeks? You do know the U.S. officials are there. The South Koreans are very keen. There was a meeting between the South Korean and the North Korean leaders. What can we expect going forward in the run-up to that expected June 12th meeting?
Well, we know that North Korea is concerned about the security of Kim Jong-un as well as the security of the North Korean regime. So they're looking for assurances from the US that that will not change, that they will not try to impose a regime change should any deal come to pass. How that will be enacted in the US remains to be seen. Will that be driven by legislation in Congress, or will it be another type of peace deal that will be signed between the US and North Korea to ensure that North Korea never invades the country? So that's another one of the big key topics that's on the agenda. As well as that, it's the denuclearization, but how on earth are they going to decide on what flavour of denuclearization they want? The North wants to give it up in tandem with the scaling back of sanctions. However, the US wants to see a unilateral movement, so North Korea giving up all of its weapons all at once. So there's key differences that all need to be worked out, and as you point out, less than 20 days in which to do it, it's quite a push.